Hello and welcome to another episode of Talking Tourism. I'm your host, Michael Curran from the Ottawa Business Journal. We have an exciting show for you today. Our focus is the rise of Indigenous tourism in Ottawa. And this is a growing part of the local tourism industry. In fact, ITAC reported that before the pandemic, Indigenous tourism increased by 23% between 2014 and 2017. To help explore today's topic, we'll tell the story of one entrepreneur's journey. We'll tell you about how she found success with her business and how she's emerged as a passionate voice in the city's tourism industry. Are you ready to talk tourism? Please welcome the founder of Indigenous Experience. Here is Trina Simard. Hey, Trina.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
It is entirely our pleasure. I appreciate you being here. Trina, I'm really looking forward to our conversation and digging into this issue of Indigenous tourism. Before that, I want to give a quick thank you to the sponsor of Talking Tourism, Ottawa Tourism.
This podcast is presented by Ottawa Tourism. They're creating fresh, new ways for you to help kickstart Ottawa's economy, as well as build a more dynamic city for residents and visitors alike. Whether it's hosting a business meeting, inviting family to visit for a long weekend, or something as simple as an Instagram post. Learn more about how you help make Ottawa a better place to live, work, and visit at ottawatourism.ca.
Thanks, Ottawa Tourism. Again, Trina, I want to get right into it. So tell us about your business, which is called, appropriately enough, Indigenous Experiences. Tell us about it.
Yes. So we started out many years ago here in the region back in 1998. And, it really started, I was attending Algonquin College and, getting some experience in event planning. And as part of my next role, I went out to an Aboriginal tourism conference in Calgary. And it really just opened up my mind to, what the potential of, at the time, Aboriginal tourism was, both as a vehicle to preserve and promote our cultures, and really being part of telling Canada's story to visitors that were coming. And I sat at that conference and I thought, it's so important that we're going to be doing this in the nation's capital. We have so many visitors here and we're trying to tell the full story of Canada. And, of course, our Indigenous connection to these lands is an important part of it. So I came back to Ottawa and, funny enough, with our recognition to the sponsor of Ottawa Tourism, really what I did was contact at Ottawa Tourism and ask if they thought there was potential for this type of experience in the region. And, they really helped me to start small, building. We kind of took Indigenous programming out to existing events, Tulip Festival and Winterlude. And we put some packages together where tourists and groups could visit the Odawa Native Friendship Center and have some cultural experiences. And, really our programs and our organization has just grown so much since then. We had a cultural attraction downtown Ottawa on Victoria Island that we ran from 2000 to 2019. So we were down there quite a while, working with a lot of international groups and school groups and, local visitors and, sharing our story through song and food and dance and, cultural workshops. And when we had to move from that space, we moved to the Museum of History. And now we have finally landed in our own venue, our own year-round space, a new agritourism development that we've opened up here, Madooke Farm. And we're at the former Lone Star Ranch on 4420 West Hunt Club Road. So, it's really bringing all of our cultural experiences of traditional foods and connection to the land-based learning, and performing arts together in this new space.
Well, I had to tell you, had incredible foresight way back in the late 1990s to understand that in 2022, what people are looking for often when it comes to tourism are authentic experiences. So my goodness, you had, as I said, lots of foresight there. So tell us, is the farm the main aspect of the business now? Is that where you're putting? Or are you also helping people include Indigenous experiences into existing events or festivals?
So we still do a lot of outreach. We still work with a lot of local festival partners. We tour local schools, but we really are trying to centralize it and encourage our groups and our visitors to come to the farm. We can just give a more full experience. We have 164 acres here, and we can give a full kind of introduction to our connection to our traditional foods and lands, and create that kind of really immersive experience here at the farm.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely get it. The experience is immersive, as you said. It's more complete, and that is the purpose of the business. So, what type of gap did you see in the city's tourism offerings in adding this Indigenous component, and how do you think you're filling it?
So, I think it's really important. It's always, I think, been important to international visitors coming to Canada. But I think that, with our new, path to reconciliation with Canadians, we're certainly seeing it becoming more important to, our local residents and our Canadian visitors as well. Really just to have that opportunity to learn and experience more about Indigenous culture. And so as I mentioned, I first went to this Aboriginal tourism conference, and, it was a very new, as you mentioned, a very new industry and opportunity, and, not happening in any cities at the time. It was something that was really happening on reserve. And so I saw, being the nation's capital, that I think it's really important to make sure that Indigenous story, is part of the story that we're sharing when people are visiting our region, our national capital region, or any main urban area, because, it's not just in those remote communities where we have the connection to the land. Our communities are connected to all the lands of Canada, including here. So I really saw that gap in the story that was being told of Canada from our nation's capital. And, I think certainly we have tried to fill it in our with our programs and our, festivals and outreach. But, there's tremendous opportunity that still exists for, other Indigenous entrepreneurs. I think we're really fortunate here in Ottawa that Ottawa tourism is so invested in ensuring that Indigenous story is part of, the story that we're telling. And so there's lots of opportunity, I think, for other Indigenous entrepreneurs to find other ways to be part of that tourism landscape in Ottawa, and to build businesses and experiences so that, we can be that destination that people think of when they think of Indigenous tourism in Canada.
And Trina, if someone were to visit your farm, give us a sense of some of those experiences. What would we experience?
Yeah, so one of the things that really inspired us to move to a farm space as opposed to, finding another cultural attraction like we had on Victoria Island, was we have secured and become a home to Ojibwe spirit horses. So they are actually Canada's only Indigenous horse breed, and they are rare and endangered. We almost lost them. It went down to 4 of these horses in the 1970s. So they're a big part of our farm experience. And, we really, the horses help us tell that story of our cultural resilience, and our community's connection to the land. So they're definitely a part of the experience. But we work a lot, of course, in the culinary world. So we have a lot of Indigenous culinary events and experiences. We have a lot of Indigenous culinary products in our marketplace. So our marketplace is open year round, over the winter, Thursday to Sunday, and 7 days a week in the tourism season. And we carry over 40, see some of it actually behind me. We carry over 40 different Indigenous small businesses. So their products, whether it's arts and crafts or food, are carried here in our store. And of course, we have year-round festivals where we invite all of our local residents and all of our visitors to join us for 4 seasonal festivals over the year that include our summer solstice Indigenous festival, which was always our largest event. And that has a powwow and a main stage of live music and dance and theater. and like 75 different Indigenous vendors and foods. And so it's a really, full cultural celebration. And then we do some smaller scale to kind of celebrate the transition of seasons as well. We just had Tigwagi for autumn, and we have Peabon coming up this December for our winter celebration.
I was going to ask, so the next festival coming up is in December. Did I understand that?
It is, yes. So it's over that first 2 weekends of December. And one's our full festival with like performances and horse-drawn wagon rides and vendors. And another weekend is kind of a more intimate, really immersive craft creation workshops, cooking traditional foods with the chefs. And so it's a really great way for people to celebrate that change into winter, learn a little more about Indigenous culture, and, kind of, again, have that immersive experience.
We're going to probably wrap up here in a second, Trina, but I want to ask, what has been the reaction to this? So you probably have had people from outside Canada, maybe even local people, Canadians from coast to coast, come visit you. What are they saying when they experience this?
So, it's we get so many different reactions. And as you mentioned, we've been fortunate for many years, probably our first 15 years, I would say our largest audience were really that international tourist and visitor. And so to me, the part that's most encouraging, when the tourism, industry recovers, I imagine we'll see some of those markets return. But I'm so encouraged by how many more Canadian families and local residents are really seeking out these Indigenous experiences and, using our tourism as a means to reconciliation, to kind of create more awareness and an opportunity to connect with their local Indigenous community. And so, to me, that reaction, what has been, the most heartwarming to see is that growth of our local communities coming out.
Wonderful. And give us your website address. I'm sure people watching this are very intrigued and would like to get some more information. How can they contact you?
Yeah, so they can contact us at indigenous-experiences.ca.
Excellent. Okay, that's awesome. And just to be clear, Trina, they can come by at any time, or they pre-book visits. How do you want people to experience this?
Yeah, so our winter hours are Thursday to Sunday, 11 to 6. And for that, you can come visit the marketplace, see the Ojibwe spirit horses. We have a legacy trail with, these beautiful reconciliation rocks that you can add to the trail. And then visit our festivals, of course, year round. And we accept group bookings and events and that if you have a group that might enjoy this experience as well.
That's wonderful. Trina, I want to say a big thank you on behalf of Ottawa Business Journal and Ottawa Tourism for connecting with us. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Miigwech. Thanks for having me.
Miigwech, yes. Really hope you enjoyed today's show. Exciting to hear about these new developments in the local tourism industry, particularly this one, given the Indigenous theme. So I want to thank Trina for joining us. And before we wrap up, one final shout out to Ottawa Tourism. Thank you for watching. Hope to see you real soon. Bye-bye.